I'd like to call to order the April 3rd, 2023 Alexander County Board of Commissioners meeting. We'll have Commissioner Larry Yoder to do the invocation and Commissioner Kent Herman to do the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
If you would, please stand. Our kind and most gracious, that we've come before you this evening, we'd ask your blessings upon this county, upon this state, and upon this country. Be with those people that have been affected by the tornadoes, the bad snowstorms. Be with our military personnel as they lost personnel this week in training. Be with us that you'd give us the light and the guidance that we need to make decisions for this county and for our citizens. Be with those first responders, both our medical, our highway patrol, and our law enforcement, fire departments. Be with them when they're out here to guide and protect us. Look after us as we go back toward our homes tonight. For we ask those things in thy name. Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Does any commissioners have a report for this evening? I would like to say that courthouse committee has been meeting and getting some insight from folks in the local law community, folks that use the courthouse on a regular basis, along with some staff members and commissioners. On another note, our comprehensive plan study is coming along nicely. A lot of insight coming in from a lot of folks throughout the county that come from several different backgrounds and professions. So just kind of give a report there. Adoption of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve agenda as given.
Second.
All in favor, right hand? Unanimous. We've got public comment. We have one individual lined up for public comment, so I do have a couple of sentences I need to read real quick. In regards to public comment, the public comment period is intended to allow the Board of Commissioners an opportunity to listen to citizens' comments and concerns. It is not a time for the board to discuss issues or answer impromptu questions. Length of comment for each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Please select one spokesperson to represent a group of citizens with the same concerns or questions. Comments are to be directed to the board as a whole and not to individual members. Citizens will be expected to be civil and courteous in their language and limit comments to issues of public concern. Mr. Ryan Beckham, will you step up to the podium? You have the floor, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity given to me to speak today to the board. My name is Ryan Beckham. I'm from the Hidnot community, and I come tonight as a recreation soccer coach and parent. I'm here tonight on behalf of the 400-plus soccer players, 35-plus teams and coaches, and many more parents, grandparents, and anyone in our county that loves the game of soccer and wants to see the game to continue to grow and prosper in our county. My topic for the next few minutes will be the need for soccer fields in Alexander County. Soccer is the fastest growing and largest sport in our county. The county recreation department was kind enough to give me the numbers last week. I called up there and they gave it to me. And I won't go through all the details for time's sake, but last season in fall of 2022, there was over 400 kids sign up for soccer. Looking at it by league, soccer is the biggest sport in our county by league. Not only locally, but soccer is the most played sport in the world. The County Recreation Department currently has no regulation-sized fields to play for our kids to play on. All fields used by the County Recreation Department are in the outfields of baseball fields at East Park, Salem Park, Bethlehem Park, J.C. Park, and Ellendale Field. It's my opinion that soccer should not be played on in outfields of baseball fields. Outfields do not allow us to have regulation or even close to regulation size soccer fields. Our older kids 11-13, which is what I coach, they have to play 8 versus 8, and normal soccer is played 11 on 11. We are ruining the outfields of our baseball fields in the county due to the continuous play of soccer on these fields, and the fields have no time to rest and recover. I would humbly ask the board to look at building some sort of soccer field, soccer complex somewhere in our county so that it's accessible to all to help fulfill the current and future needs for our soccer players. I realize in these short minutes that I have today, we can't lay out all the answers, and nor do I pretend to have all the answers. But I ask you to work with the County Recreation Department to look at the board minutes from the February 2019 meeting, to maybe look at Part F grant funding if needed, and find some way to get these soccer fields built for our children. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
We've got a public hearing that I have a list of information that I need to read over before I open the public hearing. The following agenda item is a special use permit, application number 23-01 for a place of assembly. The board is required to conduct this hearing in a quasi-judicial manner. That means it is like a court hearing. The board's discretion is limited, and its decision must be based upon evidence in the record related to the following standards. The project does not materially endanger public health or safety. The project will not substantially injure the value of adjoining property, or if so, is a public necessity. The project will be in harmony or compatible with its neighbors and generally consistent with the comprehensive plan. The project will meet all required conditions and specifications. Anyone who wishes to speak must be sworn in and must present factual evidence versus opinions, personal preference, or hearsay. Any technical evidence must be provided by individuals with approved authority on the related subject matter. The following individuals are considered to have standing as a party: the applicant, a person with legal interest in the subject property such as ownership, a lease agreement, or a legal easement, a person who will suffer special damages as a result of this board's decision. If you are a property owner who received notice of these proceedings from the Alexander County Planning and Development Office, then it is presumed that you have standing to speak. At this time, the clerk to the board will administer oaths for all individuals who intend to provide testimony, including staff members. Please make your way to the front of the room to receive the oath. And I want to go further in saying, if you have any inclination of speaking during this hearing, we need you up front at this time to take that oath. Yes. No other person here tonight will be voicing any concern during this hearing. Clerk?
Ready? Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give to this board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may have your seats, except for you, Brian. Public hearing, special use permit, SUP 23-01. Heather Payne resolution approving a place of assembly. Director of Planning Development, Brian Burgess. Do I have a motion to?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, I make a motion that we open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor, right hand? Unanimous. Consider yourselves open, public hearing open. You may have the podium, Brian.
Thank you, Chairman Pennell, Commissioners. This is, as Commissioner Pennell said, SUP 2301 for Heather Payne. This is for a place of assembly. In making a decision in regarding how to best permit the proposed use, I chose to err on the side of caution for place of assembly. This is currently a greenhouse that would also have space for educational opportunities for folks who want to learn more about the operations there, but also could potentially be an event venue for things such as weddings or wedding photography or things like that. So sort of an amalgamation that we wanted to make sure we were covering in applying for this process here. This is located off of Paul Payne Store Road. Every property surrounding this is zoned RA20. The special use permit process requires me to check for plan consistency, as well as for some of the things that state law wants us to speak towards. So in our own zoning ordinance, we look for projects like this to protect the public health and safety, morals, and general welfare. That's what our zoning ordinance hopefully accomplishes in regulating type and intensity development, promoting orderly development of the county. Again, this is in a fairly rural part of the county, and so I'm not sure that sprawl is a huge issue there. Lessening congestions in roads and streets, securing safety from fire, panic, and other dangers. This, if it were approved, would be subject to the fire marshal's standards, as well as any NCDOT permits that they would need to get for operation of a commercial business. Providing adequate light, air, and preventing the overcrowding of land, avoiding undue concentration of population. Greenhouses are fairly well lit. I don't think there's an issue there. The overcrowding of land would be detrimental to the operation. I think open land is one of the draws, and so I think that we're fairly well protected on that. And then facilitating the adequate provision of transportation, water, sewerage, schools, banks, and other public requirements. This should not need any addition for schools, banks, and public requirements. Transportation, water, and sewerage would be the primary interests regarding this project, and they would need to speak with the appropriate public utilities providers in order to make sure that they were compliant with that. One of the things that typically comes up in situations like this is a discussion about traffic, especially in rural communities. The staff report mentions that a modest increase in traffic to the business will likely occur, given the nature of the business, but probably not high enough to warrant any traffic changes according to NCDOT. Typically, a significantly more intense use would come into play before they would require things like turning lanes or signalized intersections or anything like that. This property is served by Central Fire Department. The Fire Marshal's Office would review the business further during the plan review and inspection phase. And then police protection would be provided by the Alexander County Sheriff's Department as it is within the county's jurisdiction. As far as staff has determined, this request is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the overall goals and objectives of the Alexander County zoning ordinance. If you have any questions for me, just let me know.
Any commissioners have any questions, planner? Not at this time. Anyone else wanting to speak?
I think Brian did a really good job of explaining what our goals here are. My name's Heather Payne, and I am an Alexander County native. I grew up in Bethlehem and live in Taylorsville off of Paul Payne Store Road, so I've been here all of my life. I own a destination wedding photography business and a business with my sister where we it's called Those Plant Ladies. We are here to educate and empower women and kids to learn about horticulture and plants and rolling up your sleeves, get your hands dirty. We host workshops every year that are to empower our community as well. So this is where this dream actually came from. You know, I've traveled all around the world photographing amazing venues, and I don't think that Alexander County really has something like this. So, you know, along with all the plants and stuff and just making it beautiful, that's kind of our goal with bringing this space to our county and to gather. Sorry, that's my baby. And yeah, a space for our community to gather and bring revenue into our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did the gentleman? No? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, one thing I would say, I do know these ladies. They're a little younger than I am, but I do know them from church and growing up in Bethlehem, and they are very successful with what they're doing. They're very professional, And I can't imagine anything that they would do would be detrimental in any way, shape, or form, you know, to our county or, you know, any piece of property located within that.
Any other commissioner?
Well, just from the photograph, it looks like, is that mostly dairy land around it? I know on the opposite side of the road, there's some businesses or something, looks like. What,
Yes, sir. So primarily vacant. I think the sort of crescent coming through here is used for hay at the moment. I think there is some dairy land off behind that. I'm not sure what 4664 is. I drove by there, and I'm honestly still not sure what that is, but it does look like it was operated for
I think
either.
Is that, is that not Payne's?
is that?
Is it the
Payne
processing for it?
Dairy?
This Donald's old dairy right here.
Yeah.
I'm hearing from the audience it's a dairy. We'll take that as consensus.
Should be down there in this place.
Probably. All right, thank you.
All right, if there's no other further comment, we are going to close public hearing, special use permit 23-01. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor, right hand? It's unanimous. Do I have a motion from the commissioners in regards to this special use permit?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the special use permit 23-01 for Heather Payne, to approve a place of assembly on Payne Dairy Road. Is it Paul Payne Store Road? Sorry.
Second.
Yeah, Paul Payne Store Road.
Have a first and a second. All in favor, right hand. All opposed? Unanimous. Next on the agenda is public hearing, text amendment petition TA 23-01. First Time Homes LLC. Brian Burgess will be Director of Planning starting off. Do I have a motion to open this public hearing?
Move to open the public hearing, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. Brian, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman Pennell, Commissioners. This is a significantly more relaxed approval process. This is a text amendment that was requested by Mr. Vasquez, who is in the audience, and his LLC First Time Homes. This text amendment would have the effect of allowing townhomes or single-family attached homes in the floating residential single-family district. As it stands right now, Mr. Vasquez owns the only parcel in the county that is zoned this district, so it's a very unique situation. However, it is a base zoning district, so a text amendment is appropriate. What this would do is allow for townhomes to have an X placed beside it on our table of permitted uses. It would also have their side setbacks reduced to 0. It would make having an attached home very complicated otherwise. And then reduce the minimum lot width to 20 foot. The Alexander County Planning and Zoning Commission heard this at their last meeting and all voted unanimously to send forth a favorable recommendation regarding this text amendment. However, if the Board of Commissioners have any edits with the text amendment that they would like to propose or have to amend the request, that is well within the board's right to do so.
Mr. Burgess, one question, because you and I have talked about this.
Yes.
Explain any change in the density, you know, any change that would occur in the density in residential single family, please.
The total number of units that would be allowed per square footage would not change. It's just the placement of the homes would change. I think as it stands right now, it's 7 units per acre, give or take. It would still be 7 units per acre at the end of this. So,
Just want that to be clarified.
thank you.
Do y'all have something y'all would like to do a presentation of?
I would like to speak just briefly. I want more, maybe.
Not in
good for
this
this
hearing,
one.
no.
I do have a drawing or a diagram of that. Of course, I represent Oscar Vasquez, and he owns this 34-acre tract.
This amendment would allow for the placement of townhomes, which are single-family attached dwellings. It is, I think, certainly more economical when you're talking about placing a sewer and streets. There's planned sidewalks for this development, and certainly sewer and water. It's much more economical. It would also allow for more of a green space. This area down here would be basically not used. There's a creek that runs through here, and so it would allow for that to be maintained and preserved. That would provide more of a buffer. It would also look better, I think, in terms of the overall development if that were allowed to stay in its natural environment. I do have pictures. He is a developer from Catawba County and has several developments over there that he's worked on in the past and that he's currently working. I would submit those as well as a diagram so you can get an idea of kind of what those units would look like. I think the current plan is about 200 single-family homes and townhomes, so they wouldn't all be townhomes. They would be smaller actual homes in some of the areas. Certainly, if this is approved, it would result in and provide certainly more affordable housing, especially for first-time home buyers. I certainly would entertain any questions. I know Mr. Vasquez is here if you have any questions for him.
Mr. Chairman, I would say it's not my night, but, you know, I would say I'm very familiar with that property. At my real job as a builder, that neighborhood, I built 27, 29 homes in that neighborhood, very familiar with it. And I would just say we are in dire need of affordable housing in Alexander County. I don't know how many of you saw the information that came out this week, that Travel and Leisure magazine listed Hickory, North Carolina as the number one affordable and basically affordable and attractive city in the United States, you know, to live in. And that list, I have the article on my phone, but, you know, we're ahead of, Hickory, North Carolina was picked ahead of, you know, Dallas, Fort Worth, Raleigh, Durham, I mean, major cities around the country. And I would just say that I think this is a step in the right direction for us as a county from a zoning perspective, because we've talked about previously how our zoning ordinance is slightly antiquated and dated, and, you know, as we complete the comprehensive plan, which Chairman Pennell and I are involved in, we're looking to make additional changes to make Alexander County more reasonable for developers and builders. And I would just say, my opinion, I think it's a good thing.
Any other commissioner?
So is the property in Bethlehem, or is this?
Yes, it's off of Heritage Farm Road in Bethlehem.
Thank you.
And let me say too, I have no connection to this property or anything that's going on there. Just to clear that up, I don't have anything to do with that, at this time.
Do we have a motion to close public hearing in regards to 23-1 First Time Homes LLC?
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. Pleasure of the board.
I make a motion to approve the text amendment petition for 2301 First Time Home.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, fellas. Moving right along, we're going into another public hearing. Text amendment petition TA 23-02, various amendments, be presented by Brian Burgess, Director of Planning. Do I have a motion to open public hearing?
Make a motion to open the public hearing, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All in favor? Please continue.
Thank you, Chairman Pennell. I promise to leave you guys alone after this. So this is a package of various amendments. You guys can pick and choose how you want to approve these. They don't have to be approved as a bundle. They're just presented as one for simplicity's sake. These are things that have come up just over the course of administration, day to day, that we are trying to simplify or enhance the zoning ordinance or other land use ordinances we have. The first one is a standard for general applicability, specifically lighting. The rezoning you guys looked at last month over on Rink Dam Road, one of the primary concerns that folks brought up at the Planning Commission meeting was that they were worried about lighting going into residential districts. I've looked at neighboring communities and how they've handled that. So for commercial districts, it's basically point your lights inward, point them downward, and you kind of can do whatever else you want to do. So that's what this would accomplish if adopted. The next item is for special use permits. I know that going through quasi judicial procedures is like pulling teeth sometimes, and I'm giving you guys an out because it's very confusing. The only time you guys hear quasi judicial proceedings is for special use permits. Every other time, the planning commission would do that, which makes things confusing for citizens who want to apply. What this would do is change it so that the planning commission hears all special use permit petitions acting as the Board of Adjustment. The next one would be changes to the language regarding the Planning and Zoning Commission. So this is more of a detail thing. One of the things on your consent agenda tonight is the new rules and procedures that the Planning Board have sent forth a favorable recommendation for you guys to approve. This gets into nuts and bolts, things such as attendance policy, voting methods, electing officers, all of that stuff. It's probably better to separate that from the zoning ordinance because changing those things can be done at your desire. But if it's in the ordinance, we have to go through a public hearing, pay for an advertisement in the paper and all that kind of stuff. One of the other things that would be clarified is we would be changing the name of the Planning and Zoning Commission to just the Planning Board. The reason for that is because the board also acts as the Zoning Board of Adjustment, which is required by state law. So the Planning and Zoning Commission really is only the planning board, is all that they are allowed to do. Otherwise, they act as the Board of Adjustment. So I'm just saying, for nomenclature's sake, separate those out so the folks know who they're dealing with at what time. One thing, the next thing would be temporary signs. Our current ordinance does not clarify what the length of time a temporary sign, the maximum length of time a temporary sign can be up. And in North Carolina, what that means is there is no maximum length of time, which makes it not temporary. The onus goes towards us to be forgiving towards the property owner. And so in this situation, we would want to put a cap on that if we were going to call it a temporary sign. You guys have recently amended the penalty section. We've had issues, I don't think it's been any quiet matter, that we've had issues with the junkyard on 6490, 26 Saunders Lane. The county is currently fining them every day for a violation of nuisances as well as operating without a permit. They were denied a special use permit by the town, yet they've continued to operate. One of the things that folks have pointed out to me is that our $50 a day fine for some of these folks is just the cost of doing business. They're not bothered by that $50 a day fine. So what this would do is give us the option for folks who absolutely are refusing to clean up, give myself or Victor Breininger, our code compliance officer, the ability to increase those fines after 30 days of violation to $500, which is the maximum the state allows us to fine. That's a nuclear option. It's probably only going to happen in rare cases. But when we have folks who are just outright refusing to go into compliance, we need something to push the matter a little bit further along. And then the last one, probably the more contentious one, is a proposed new nuisance ordinance. This is one that I've written for a jurisdiction I worked for before. However, absolutely open to edits to this. This is just sort of a starting point. The reason for this is the county currently has a solid waste ordinance that we use to handle our nuisances, but it's not very specific to land use, and so we're kind of trying to fit a square peg in a round hole sometimes with the current ordinance. This would not have the effect of repealing the other ordinance, because some of that also has to do with solid waste and convenience center operations. We don't want to mess with that at all. But what it would do is give myself and Victor a little more clarity in regards to what the process is to bring things into compliance. One of the big things that we're dealing with is that right now we have folks who, I get a call at least once a week from a round of people who are asking me, why aren't you doing more about X, Y, and Z? This person's got garbage laying out, this person's got a vehicle that's got rodents and snakes and things like that coming out of it. What this would do was clarify the process so that we can give that to someone and say, here's exactly what you can expect once we get a complaint, and also give us a little bit more standing to pursue those situations. Again, this is one of those things where I hope he'll forgive me. I'll pick on Matt Schrum, who's on our planning board. He asked me, well, I've got a boat that I'm working on right now in my front yard. Am I going to be in trouble? And I said, dude, if we're worried about your boat, we've solved a lot of other problems in the county. We have some very severe violations that this is more geared towards solving, but I don't think myself or my staff are interested in harassing anyone. We just want to be able to go after the really bad cases. So I think that's everything for this one. Next month, you guys have another very large package of amendments coming from me. I apologize in advance for the literature in the form of a tranquilizer, but the amendments are, as they're presented, you guys can make amendments or recommendations for changes, or pull out parts that you'd like to have come back or deny. So,
I have a question.
yes, sir.
So you brought up the Mr. Schrum and the boat out front.
Yeah.
So I have a question on that.
Yeah.
So if the neighbor across the road calls in or comes sees you and says, hey, does that not fit the criteria? I'd like to see that removed, then you would have to enact on whatever the policy is, correct?
Yes, sir. What the policy in that situation would be, there's no silver bullet for this. The solution that we've come up with, open to suggestions on this though, is a vehicle restoration permit. If someone is actively, like he's actively working on that, we don't want to bother him for that. That's his property. Government's not supposed to be involved in that. But what it does is it gives us a piece of paper. We wouldn't charge him for it. It's just a piece of paper that says, yes, he's working on it, as opposed to someone who, like we've seen, we found a case recently, is just parking cars in the woods and leaving them in for a decade. It gives us some paper trail to go, yeah, no, this person has communicated with us. We know that they're working on it. And we expect at some point that they would, this would be an operational thing, as opposed to turning into free real estate for the woodland creatures surrounding their home. So,
I just have a couple questions on some of the definitions.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
really, a lot of questions.
Well-
But, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we, look at this. Some of the definitions, well, just for instance, definition, abandoned manufactured home. One that's not been properly connected to a permitted sewer or septic tank, water supply, or in the recent 6 months. I know probably there is some people, if it's an elderly person that's maybe sick, goes into the hospital, there's a lot of different ways to read into it. But the big one I have a problem with is it says junked vehicle. It says a motor vehicle that does not display a current license plate or vehicle registration. But then it also goes into dismantled and wrecked. But I think we're gonna have a lot of people just, there's no tag on that car, let's call somebody. So, I wanna make sure that we're not trying to, take everybody's rights. And as far as restoring a car, I guess I'm a car guy, and I know a lot of people that have cars and restore cars. Sometimes you'll have 3 or 4 donor cars to fix, maybe one car. If you're doing a 66 or 7 Chevelle, 64 Malibu, a Corvette, even into a semi-tractor. A lot of people are restoring those now for the older ones. You know, I just don't want to see us micromanaging, you know, per se, something that, you know, on the scheme of it, but if you've got a guy, like you say, that's got 20 cars on a small lot, but I could see applying this in the city limits, or if you live in Wittenberg Springs, Chesterfield, you know, houses are close. But a lot of this is why people own 2 or more acres, you know, so you can kind of, you know, do what you want to. I just don't want to see us infringing on, you know, what somebody can actually do, you know, to that point.
If you don't mind, that's actually, you just solved a problem Victor and I've had for about a month now, because you mentioned acreage. One of the other definitions, or one of the other things that we talk about is growth of weeds and other rank vegetation. Same exact concept. I don't want to mess with farmers. I came up from an agricultural community, I know better. So one of the things that we have on there is exceeding 1 acre, on lots exceeding 1 acre. So basically smaller lots or something like that. Do you think that that's something we should investigate, is acreage as a part of the junk motor vehicle kind of thing?
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay.
I believe that a few of the commissioners have further discussion. Want to, I guess, maybe even meet with you somehow
Yeah, please, yeah.
in a legal meeting of some fashion, however that needs to happen. So are you making a motion to,
Yeah. Do we need to close?
well, I'll have to close the hearing first, but
Yeah, I would make a motion.
Mr. Chairman, let me just ask one other question. For all of you in radio land, sorry. Define a temporary sign for me, and I know, these guys that have been here for a while will verify that I am not a fan of illegal signs. I am not a fan of the, cardboard or chloroplast sign that says, just using an example, Queen mattress set, $150, here's phone number. They're stuck on telephone poles, stuck on every, and I'm saying this as, I'm on a real estate office. And, historically, we have used a lot of quote-unquote temporary signs with arrows pointing toward a house that's for sale. Or, open house this way, this kind of thing. So I'm kind of stepping on my own toes. But, I've said many times, if you come across the 127 bridge from Hickory and you head up, into Bethlehem, or you come across the Highway 16 bridge and head up into Wittenberg, or wherever it may be, you've got all these little signs that people stick out all the time that say, Queen mattress set, $150, or, we buy houses in a number, or, and I hate to say it, but yard sale. Friday, so-and-so date, whatever, and it's 2 weeks later, and it still says yard sale 2 weeks ago, And I know, and obviously I know we do have a sign ordinance that very clearly says that any sign in a state right-of-way is illegal.
Yep.
And that's a DOT thing, that's not us. Because DOT,
I pick those up and throw them away too, though.
there are certain instances with political signs, but that, they are allowed in DOT right-of-ways, but they're only for a specific period of time prior to an election, and have to be picked up within so many days of an election after the election is completed. But as I look at this, no longer than 30 consecutive days at a time for a maximum of 180 days. To me, based on our sign ordinance that we have now, is it not illegal to stick a sign out if it's in the right-of-way, period?
Yes. So the situation that brought this up, I'll tell you, Bojangles on 127, they have a sign company that called me. They have a fair amount of banners that they would like to hang up, like around the seating area, on the side of the building, things like that. They wouldn't be permanent signs. They're not mounted on, they don't need building inspections, anything like that. They'd be something you could take down, put up as you have a sale or as you have an event or whatever.
But on their property?
Correct,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
So yeah, this would, in the right-of-way, you're already running into problems unless DOT's approved it or we've approved it, really both. This is specifically for businesses that are putting up, those big banners, sale this weekend or whatever. They asked me, how long can we have this out there? And on section 154, 113, I looked through there, and then I looked through there a few more times and realized we don't put a cap on it. So I can't really tell them that there's a cap right now, because there isn't. I can't obviously just make that up. You guys write law, not me. And so I told her, I was like, well, I'd prefer it to see no more than 6 months. Otherwise, it's really a permanent sign, but I can't enforce that, which is what started the.
And any permanent sign needs to be permitted
Correct.
through
Yes, sir.
building inspections?
Yes,
Yeah, okay,
yes.
all right. That answers my question. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other comments or questions? Anyone from the public? In regards to public hearing, text amendment petition TA 23-02, various amendments, what's the pleasure? Do I have a motion to close?
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. What would be the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we table text amendment petition TA 2302 till we have opportunity to get with Mr. Burgess and, go through some things and put it all together.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. Thanks, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next on the agenda, Northwoods Traverse, Alexander County DSS, Chris Mees and Thomas.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for your time this evening. I have here Chris Mees from Northwoods. This is an item that went before the management team, I think, a couple weeks ago. And so we wanted to bring you more detailed information about a computer system that we would like to purchase for our staff. This would cover child welfare staff, adult services, and our child support unit as well. And it would enhance the security of our documents and the ease of finding old documents and categorizing new documents, that kind of thing. So we are asking to use some contingency funds that we have in our budget now to start the project. And I think that was presented to the management team. So I wanted Chris to explain a little bit about Traverse. I have Michael Dotson, our business officer, here as well, if you guys have further questions from the department. So I'll turn it over to Chris.
Thank you for having me today. Thomas asked me to come over and field some questions, maybe go through a few PowerPoint slides about who we are. But Northwoods is a kind of unique situation. It is a technology company, but it's a health and human services only. We don't sell to anybody else. We don't sell commercial. It's just for state and county social services. We've been in business and selling products in North Carolina for 20 years. We've got up to 45 counties in North Carolina that had our product, and the blue boxes represent our legacy product, Compass Pilot, which is basically document management, meaning document management scan paper documents, convert the paper to a digital format so you see on your computer screen. You have quite a bit of risk involved when it's paper-based through disaster, fire, flood, hurricane, tornado, whatever, and losing that. Plus it can be in somebody's office that's not there, in somebody's car, files all over the place. With the system of document management, everybody puts it into one location where it's searchable by metadata, they call it, the case number, case name, first name, last name, whatever it is, but also by content. So like a Google search, you can go in and find anything you're looking for inside of the product using Traverse. It even uses some natural language processing or machine learning to kind of get concepts to say, hey, maybe it didn't say bullying, but this sounds like something you might want to look at bullying, or there's known drug use in the house, or there's been domestic violence or whatever. So it finds things and services for the workers to quickly find risk factors in the house before they go out and make an in-person visit, especially on somebody maybe on a Friday night, 10 o'clock call that's not really familiar with the case, but they need to go act on it. They can quickly sit down in front of Traverse and see a good overview of what all's going on. You see our county map here. The red ones are our traverses, which is what we're presenting today. There's 14 on there currently. On Friday, I haven't had a chance to update it. I've been out here all weekend. We actually closed Rutherford County now on board with Traverse, and then New Hanover County came on board on Friday. A number of counties right here. I've kind of been focusing on a lot of these paper-based counties out in western North Carolina. In the last year or two, they recognize they really need a system in place to organize their files. And currently, within the next month, McDowell's already had the commissioners approve. Burke's working on it. Henderson, quite a few counties out here are looking to move to Traverse. Should have over 20 counties by the end of this fiscal year. So there's us kind of reiterating that we're a health and human systems company. Caseworkers use the product to have just a better overall understanding of what's going on. We're not predictive analytics. We're not trying to predict what's going to happen in a case file, but we want to highlight or identify things that, hey, you want to take a look at, and then have somebody that has experienced caseworker in Alexander County DSS to look at it and say, hey, take a look at this and see how they should act. Traverse has really came on strong since the pandemic in 2020 with supporting remote work. So we've been able to, since it's all cloud-based, the product is not on Alexander County servers. It's housed in AWS Cloud. So workers from anywhere with the security credentials can get in and have access to their case files, fill out digital forms, collect digital signatures. So it's basically converting everything to paper to a digital where they could go out in the field with an iPad or a touchscreen device and collect signatures and get the services the people need on the fly, real time. With the paperwork now, when you're county-based, there's people filing stuff, all the storage space, whole rooms full of files, all that kind of stuff can be taken care of with a product like Traverse. We can streamline it, make it a lot quicker to find. Administrative redundancies and duplication of effort. Everybody can find what they need that's pertinent to them, whether it's legal needs to find it, or there's an on-call coming up, they need to do the background check, they can find it wherever they want. They don't have to carry a whole huge case file out to the family. They can have all that stuff with them digitized on their laptop and or tablet. Basically, the bottom bullet there is a really good one that the people that see the benefit of our product is once the stuff is in the system, they have more time to actually spend with families in need and quit having so much time on filing and trying to find their stuff in the office. It's just increases interpersonal time with the clients. That's just a kind of a technical overview of how it works. Everything goes through the Traverse Cloud, whether you're on a web-based piece, which is like sitting down on the internet with have an internet connection. The SACWIS and CWIS is state of North Carolina currently does not have a system in place for child welfare. So if and when they ever do, we can integrate with that. The product is made to integrate with whatever system we have. In Ohio, for instance, they're in all 88 counties. We're in 88 counties in Ohio, and we integrate with probably 5 or 6 different state systems there. We're in California, New York, Pennsylvania, all kinds of counties interacting with the state system. Traverse Mobile, back on the last slide there, I'll finish up. Mobile also has a piece that in rural America here, you can download the case file to the tablet. You don't have to have a hotspot or an internet connection or Wi-Fi. You go out to a family, everything's right there on the tablet or laptop. They can collect the signatures, get service, record audio, video if applicable, take pictures of living conditions. It even does transcriptioning services for you. If you've recorded something, a voice, or you just have saying something to the narrative to the machine, it'll actually transcribe it so you have a text version of it in the system as well. Even if the county supplies for county iPhones or actually now Android, that slide needs updated. We both do both. They could have it, be able to have access to it, or take photos of living conditions with their mobile device. But the piece of this that's really important is the security behind it. It's all encrypted at rest. It's encrypted in transit. There's no, it meets HIPAA compliancy, FedRAMP compliancy, all this bore you with a bunch of technology, but we've got that part of it figured out. There's just more stuff about the security. Something to consider that's a bit of a risk now is when you're in a even if you're paper-based, in a lot of cases, including Alexander County, they do scan stuff to their local drives or their servers just in Windows folders. It's not really in a system. There's probably been, nobody wants to brag about it, but there's probably been 15 or 20 counties in North Carolina in the last 2 or 3 years have got something called ransomware, where they go in and lock down the servers and hold the data hostage and won't give it back unless they pay for it. Can't be done in a system like ours. It's all encrypted and locked in just technology-wise. Basically, it's not just in Windows folder. It's just a lot more secure way to have your data for, pertinent data. Could even be something as delicate as adoption records. It's not, when you say I didn't want to scare you with the phones or the tablets, it's not like if you took a picture of living conditions, it's not in the camera roll all mixed with your family pictures and all that mess. It's encrypted inside of the app that you download from the store, and you can't get access to it unless you have the right credentials to get in. It's not in the base device. So kind of the benefits in summary, it can integrate into multiple technologies if and when the state gets the system. You don't have to have county IT support, meaning county doesn't have to buy servers, do upgrades, do backups, do migrations, all that stuff. It's all taken for you as part of the yearly subscription for Traverse. Northwoods engineers do all that. There's 99.9999, whatever, 59% uptime. It's just always available. It's backed up all over the places to different servers around the country. In case that particular server goes down, it comes up in another. That's what the beauty of the cloud is inherently. Automatic upgrades are pushed out, so the next time somebody logs in and says, oh, hey, there's new features available, it tells you about it automatically in the product, even gives a video snippet and some text about whatever the new features do. But we have live bodies available 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. Eastern, so you can actually text with a real person in real time to get help with the product if needed. See some of the summary things, especially with a paper-based company like yourselves. We have testimonial from up to about 120 counties around the country now using this, that it saves up to 2 hours per day per social worker to free them up to interact with families or do something more useful than just trying to get stuff into the system. That's about a full day a week of time savings per worker, which obviously gives more face time with the families. We get a lot more concise information to share with other program areas and management, so it's all in one place for you to go find exactly what you need. Reduced foster care is a large piece. We had a county in New York, I believe it was, that did a rather large county, several million folks in just one county. They were saving over 4% of their foster care cost annually. 4% may not sound like a lot, but in that case, there was hundreds of thousands, if not close to millions of dollars, because the reason it reduces foster care, you can sit down and it automatically, without any working on the caseworker, it automatically identifies every name in the case file. It even tries to build something called a geneagram, or say, Chris is father to Susie, Susie is daughter of Chris, how they're related, how the grandparents are related, X's steps, grandparents, whoever that might be somebody that could help in a time of need instead of putting the child into foster care. Lower travel cost, the mileage reimbursements are significantly reduced because you can travel out, you have the whole case file with you, you have all your forms as part of the project. We create, I think for this county, it's 325 forms that we'll make digital, so they don't have to remember, they go up to a family and they need after-school care or transportation or whatever it is they need. Oh, I don't have that form, I'll have to run back to the office, come back out here again, get y'all to sign, all that mess. It's all available real time, even in a disconnected mode, so you have a lot less reimbursements and travel costs. Staff satisfaction, we're hearing from counties that all around the country that they're really, like one county I was talking to today, they're 38% down. They're missing 8 people on 27 job vacancies. But this product has had testimonials that not only on the hiring piece that you have the best products and things available for new hires, it also is for retention because it makes their job a lot easier using technologies like this. And that's just a statement from one of our commissioners. It's just basically summarized what it was, that how much problem they were having in a paper-based environment, and now they get to do the real work with seeing families. Any questions? I know I read an awful lot of stuff there.
I have a couple.
Yeah.
So current files that have been scanned in, how do they get uploaded into this system?
So to put something into the system, you can either use a desktop scanner, obviously if it's paper-based. If it's an electronic document, like a Word, PDF, PowerPoint, or an attachment on your email, you can drag and drop them or copy them into the system, upload them, people call it, but you don't have to print and scan. you also could use your copiers. A lot of counties have copiers that are scan-able as well. They scan to a drive and then upload it from there.
Are the workers going out with tablets to the homes and entering on the tablets, or are they having to come back?
No, so we have it built into, with the mobile device, we have not only filling out forms and stuff I touched on, we have the ability to take pictures of living conditions, right? We also have a piece in there. Have you ever deposited your check on a banking app? You know, when you hold it and it takes like the green brackets when it's in focus or whatever? We have the same thing. You can use your mobile device in place of a scanner in the field to grab and capture it, just like you ran through a scanner. Then it runs the OCR and the search engine to basically be able to make it searchable as well.
One more question. What's the training period of time estimate on our workers to run this system?
So we're currently doing it in about we estimate about a 13-week period. That doesn't mean it's 13 weeks of all day, every day. It's about 2 hours per person. We basically set up a coaching team because it's remote. So we'll have a head coach and some assistant coaches and some subject matter experts on the team that have specific tasks, whether they're gathering up the forms we're going to design, helping us build the taxonomy, which is just a fancy name for electronic filing structure. What we're going to all agree on to call this document, how we're going to name it, so everybody conforms on what we're calling something, so there's no discrepancy on that. But about 13 weeks to answer your question. It's mostly dependent on not our staff, but your all's time. We realize there's child support has court days, PTO, all the different factors that come into may lengthen it, but on average 13 weeks.
So this software could be Health Department or DSS type scenarios?
It could be, yes.
So on the map, is all of that DSS?
That's all DSS. We haven't, it's funny you say that. So I've been talking with, you are consolidated, right, Thomas? You're all consolidated. So before, most counties in North Carolina was, Health Department was separate than DSS. We've been DSS focused, but the ones that are consolidated now, I'm already working with probably 10 of them to traverse for everybody agency-wide, Health and Human Services and the CPS, APS, everybody.
Mr. Chairman, just have one question. Will this replace NC Fast, or is this going to be duplication to both systems?
So we've already had worked with DHS for years now on this, that we have a certified ADP, if you know what, a reimbursement is what it means. So what we can do is traverse, because it's not duplicative of anything that NC Fast does. It's 100% reimbursable at your normal county rate. Not only the annual subscription, but also the pro services to get it set up in the first year. And they're turning those around in about 5 days on the approvals of that.
Okay. So,
To answer your question directly, is the state sees that we do something different than they do, and currently there is no child welfare system in place. They asked us to be a part of it, but we do things so much more advanced than what they're trying to do. What NC Fast ultimately is a dashboard and a tool of a database for the Fed to see what the state's doing, to see what the county's doing, so the money's right, but it doesn't really benefit the worker in the field. It actually hinders them because they didn't go to school and want to help families to come in and be glorified data entry people. They're spending, it used to be 70% of the time with families and 30% in the office. Now with NC Fast, they're getting the reverse of that. So what we will do is we have already shown a proof of concept with the DHS powers that Traverse is built. It's not a case management system, which is what NC Fast is. It's made to enhance and can integrate with those easily. So we can push and pull data between the systems. And workers get to use what they want to use Traverse in the field.
so the employee would still need to use both systems, correct?
Hang on just one second. Will you step to the mic, please?
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
No, not necessarily. What would end up happening is how it usually works. They have an intake and assessment crew that will take the call and enter if it's a new case, into the system. Then everything would be passed into Traverse, so the social workers, the people actually going out in the field, wouldn't have to mess with NC Fast at all. They can work with Traverse exclusively.
And so currently, the only staff that use NC Fast right now are economic services people, our food stamps and Medicaid staff. Child welfare is not in NC Fast in Alexander County right now. So they keep promising pieces of, they call it CWS now because NC Fast has such a bad name with child welfare. They call it CWS on the child welfare side. And so they are starting to build out some pieces, but they haven't rolled anything out statewide. So currently, the staff that have NC Fast wouldn't get this. It's just the people that don't have a system, so that's child support, adult services, and child welfare. And the reimbursement rate for us is going to be about 50% is what we would be reimbursable for.
And to add to that too, there is nothing on the state roadmap for adult protective services or child support. They're just starts, that'll be quite a while for down the road. And I'm privy to this, RFP that's coming out with the state to build a new CWS systems, as Thomas was referring to. It is not a product that's in existence. It's a complete, gotta build it from scratch. So, been doing computer stuff for a long time. It's gonna be at minimum, I'd say 3 to 4 years before they even have a base case management system to even get started in child welfare. Not to mention nothing for APS or child support.
Okay. I guess, is there an approximate cost, or how much is the cost for us?
There you go.
Michael?
What's the price?
Michael's got these numbers, so this is without reimbursement, right? The numbers you're gonna give them?
Yes, absolutely. So we initially started, like Chris was talking about, there's two sets of this. There's two parts. So the first part is professional services. It's basically them coming in and setting us up. The other part is an annual subscription cost, basically to have access to the software and our case management and that kind of thing. So when we first started with Northwoods and Traverse, we were roughly looking at about $249,000 just to get us started. Okay, so me and Thomas and Chris, we worked diligently to look at those numbers, and we are actually coming down drastically. They're offering it to us at $184,000. It's going to be about $90,000 in annual subscription cost, and roughly about 94. Is it 94 in?
94 total, yes, so 94 PS.
Yeah, 94 in professional services. So if we can get approval to use some of our contingency, we can actually jump ahead a little bit, work on the setup, the paraprofessional services, and kind of chunk that out into this current fiscal year based on the contingencies we have. At that point, then we would kind of get back with you guys in reference to following through in the next fiscal year.
So the 94, so the professional services, that's kind of a one-time?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
That's to build out all the forms,
right.
walk with everybody on the taxonomy,
sir.
the naming of the docs,
And
training
so,
and all that.
so second year,
Just
down the
90,000?
road,
Yes, sir.
90,000
That's
a
it.
year.
So the maintenance every year, or I call it maintenance, keeping it up around 90,000 is what we could expect going forward.
Yes, and we can fix that, a 3 or 5 year contract, where it could be locked in at 90,000. And then the state would pay, if you're at 50, you county outlay be 45 grand.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something, folks, that's all well and good, but I'm one of those people where I gotta see it, not just hear it. I'd like to see it totally documented, the cost it's gonna be to the county, okay? I mean, you sit here and you throw numbers out at me all day long, but until I see it written down, there was nothing in the packet about the cost. There was nothing there telling me where it's gonna come from, how we were gonna get it, what we were gonna do. And I'm gonna tell you, I wanna see a total budget for this cost of this, because this is a lot of money, and we're already sitting the 1st of April. Budgets are due. We're gonna be doing a new budget as of July the 1st. And I have a real hard problem because I see a slight duplication here, whether it's contingency funds or not. I wanna see a total assessment of the funds that you're looking for written down so that I can understand it.
And for the budget that you guys will review for us, it is in there, so we're not going to be asking to add additionally to what we've already submitted. So I
I
we'll-
understand that, totally respect it, but if it's itemized so that we can see it, so we'll understand, presentation's great, the information's great, but when you talk about the money, I'd like to see a total itemized, list of everything you're talking about, because $90,000 a year, that's a lot of money. That just talks about you coming back in and upgrading or doing whatever. That doesn't talk about the assistance that may cost you or then be called during an emergency or something if something happens. There's an additional cost of those things. And I'd like to see the total breakdown of the contract and everything so that it can be taken care of. And then and that way I'll understand.
Yeah,
okay?
fully
I need to
understand.
totally understand before I raise my hand and say yes.
Fully understand that. Yes, sir. It's a big chunk of money. We completely understand that.
Absolutely.
And
I was
and ultimately, there's steps.
Commissioner Reese here said, what's the price? Because I'm sitting here thinking, what's the cost? You know?
Yes, sir.
Because it sounds like a wonderful system. However, I need to see the black and white and the numbers on the entire program.
Definitely, and, like I said, me and Northwoods and Thomas, we've been working on these numbers, trying to get them as low as we possibly could. Chris came back with a number, actually, I think it was this afternoon, with more of a quote. So unfortunately, I couldn't present it to you this evening, but I will definitely get those numbers together for you.
That'd be great.
Another question.
But
The devices you mentioned, what are the devices and where do they come from?
We have them. So currently, the only device currently social workers have a Surface Pro, and they can sign and display on their Surface Pros. The Surface Pros are aging out. They're not quite as durable and reliable as laptops, so we are kind of phasing into laptops, and they're less expensive. But they will still have a signing device on their iPhone. So they will be able to sign these documents on their iPhone in the home. So each social worker already has the iPhone, they already have a Surface Pro, but some of them will be moving to laptops that don't have signing capability, but the iPhone does. So we wouldn't have to buy any equipment.
Mr. Chairman, you mentioned 3 or 5 years.
We can lock it in a 3-year minimum or 5-year maximum, yes.
Okay, and whatever that annual fee would run for either one of those contracts.
Yes, it would be fixed cost for whatever the length of the contract is, $90,000. And there's not any, I think one of you guys were saying about something breaks or something whatever, that's all included. It's a flat, there is no additional charges for whatever. It's a solution that's not specific to Alexander County. When it's something in the cloud, it's everybody in the whole country that's using Traverse uses similar software. So it's constantly being fixed if there is an issue or whatever updates pushed out. There's not any charge for any of that, I guess I should try to say.
I think we appreciate it, fellas.
And the short
Thank you
notice
for your
was, we
time.
do have a full contract. I can get these guys that show the whole agreement, the payment milestones, everything you asked about in detail.
Yeah, I just like for us to see it because so that we can make a good decision and we'll know what the costs are gonna be.
Totally understand. I'm
Okay,
scrambling.
I mean,
I've been at a commissioner meeting after committee. It's budget season. A lot of people don't.
Right now, yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, gentlemen.
Next item of business will be agreements with Town of Taylorsville for building and fire inspection services. Board Clerk Jamie Starnes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. These agreements are with the town of Taylorsville. There's 2 agreements, one for fire inspections and the other is for building inspections. And it basically just gives the county statutory authority to perform fire and building inspections in town limits. The agreements do not include any payment or receipt of funds to or from either the county or the town because the fees for these inspection services are paid directly by the property owner. This is just for information. The town has approved both agreements, but there is no action required by the county.
So-
This is something we've been doing already, correct?
Yeah, we just didn't have paperwork in place to make it legal.
Okay.
And Jamie, so the fees that the property owner pays, and I know the fire marshal comes by my office once a year, and checks and makes sure we have, working, fire extinguishers and such, which is good, a good thing. I'm not, but so that fee, if it is inside the town of Taylorsville.
We still keep it.
It is paid to the county, to the fire marshal? Okay,
Yes.
just want to make sure.
Any other comments? Next will be budget ordinance amendments, number 53 through 55. Jamie Starnes, Board Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Budget amendment number 53 is to increase the sheriff's office budget for the use of federal equitable share funds received during fiscal year 2023. These special funds must be used to increase the law enforcement budget. Funds will be used for the purchase and installation of truck bed covers and truck boxes for 3 new patrol trucks, as well as the purchase of night vision goggles. Purchasing the night vision goggles will eliminate the $4,200 annual rental fee for goggles being used now. Number 54 is to increase the cooperative extension budget for programming from additional funds to be received during the remainder of fiscal year 2023. And number 55 is to budget for the closeout of the Bethlehem Sewer Line Extension and Pump Station Upgrade Project and transfer the remaining cash balance of Article 44, 524 sales tax funds back to the general fund.
Do I have a motion to approve these budget amendments?
Make a motion to approve budget order amendments number 53 through 55 as stated.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. Board appointments and reappointments, Local Emergency Planning Committee by Board Clerk Jamie Starnes.
We have two appointments to the Local Emergency Planning Committee. One is for Sheriff Chad Pennell. His term is for 3 years, so this will expire in December 2025. And then David Himbaugh for 2 years, which will expire December 2024. And this was recommended by the LEPC.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous decision. Other business, does any commissioner have any other business at all? Consent agenda, we've had a chance to look over the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. We're going into adjournment, closed session, 143-318, 11A 5 and 6, contractual and personnel will be discussed. We will only reconvene to adjourn. Do I have a-
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion, we'll go into closed session.
Second.
all in favor? Thank you.